Hey y'all, welcome to your Homegirl podcast. I'm your host and your homegirl, Katie Patilli, and we're going to chat about what it's like to be a successful female in this crazy world of real estate, or a male that helps empower and support us. So without further ado, let's dive in. Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of Your Homegirl podcast. I am super excited about our guest today. I think there are so many things that you're going to take away from this episode. I have Lauren Duke, who is the founder of CoreOps Collective and former COO of Top 10 mega team that scaled from one location with 4 agents to 21 locations with over 150 agents. 8,000 closed transactions in 4 years. I mean, mind blown. She parted ways to start CoreOps, and now she helps agents with teams from coast to coast replace survival with structure through systems, standards, and sustainability. All the things that agents ask about all the time. So I'm super excited to pick your brain today, Lauren. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much for having me, Katie. I'm thrilled to be here. I'm so excited.
Well, no, I appreciate it. I mean, I can only imagine how busy you are, having just started a new company semi-recently. And do you still originate transactions as an agent, or did you retire?
No, I've actually never been an agent. I've never been licensed.
Oh, so you just ran a team and never actually closed transactions yourself? That is incredible. How? Okay, well, now you have some how did this happen?
So I had a little virtual assistant business just to make enough money to pay my car payment, and I got in touch with someone who was looking for a transaction coordinator for their real estate team. And I was like, how hard could it be, right? Like, I can figure this out. It was hard and I did figure it out, but it was like I was sweating for 2 months sending an email because I'm like, oh my God, what if it's the wrong thing, But that team very quickly grew from that one location with just a couple agents. And I kind of was just more or less along for the ride. I was like, hey, you need this? Okay, great. Let's do it. You need that? Okay, great. Let's do it. And quickly turned into, a true operations role, became director of operations. And then as we continued to scale and recruit more agents, turned into that COO role. And it was as hectic and chaotic as it sounds.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, I made
Like your day-to-day look like?
oh gosh, my day to day I feel like was different every day. I couldn't even say that, with certainty. It more so was like, how do we, number one, keep agents on the team, agent retention? How are we making sure that our admin team is efficient? And do we have the operations in place? Do we have the past client care? Do we know what we stand for here in this company? That's kind of what the bigger picture of the role was,
Yeah. So then how long were you with them before you decided to switch gears entirely, start your own business with CoreOps Collective? How did that?
Yeah. Well, I was with them for 4 years. And so it was in the grand scheme of things, a short time, but I feel like I learned with how quickly we grew, 4 agents to over 150. Most teams aren't doing that in 10 years, And so it was a very, very, very good learning experience, especially to learn how a real estate business needs to operate in order to be a true business.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would your recommendation be to agents for how to have a productive day? Like, obviously that looks semi-different for everybody. There's agents that are really strong in cold calling and numbers, and then there's agents that are really strong relationship based. But just from like a production standpoint, like, what would your recommendation be for a productive day?
I think that when agents first get into the business, they're told by brokerage, they're told by Facebook groups and, the next big coach that find the top agent in the area and just mimic what they're doing. And that works for a little while, right? Like you can mimic what other people are doing, but that's where that burnout starts to happen because you're not like living authentically.
Yeah.
And so in order for you to be the most productive, you have to really understand who's your audience. Who are you talking to? What do they want to hear? What do they want to read? How are you going to be showing up for them? And then find those 2 or 3 pillars. If you're all in on Instagram and that's where your target audience is hanging out, maybe your pillars look like lead magnets for ManyChat, and then you have email marketing funnels to get them off of Instagram or whatever. Or maybe you go all in on in-person networking. So you have open houses, local prospecting type of things, farming and all of that. Find out who your audience is, and you need to meet them where they're at.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's such great advice. Do you think one of the biggest mistakes that you see agents make when they, come into your company and you start working with them is that they just either one, have absolutely no idea where to devote their focus, or that they're trying to do it all and it's not really feasible to be everywhere with everyone kind of thing?
Definitely the last.
Okay.
Because, they are mimicking, right? They're mimicking what they see. And so if they see you, for example, doing a podcast, they're like, "Oh, I should go do a podcast."
Right.
And they do 2 episodes and they get 3 listens and 2 of them are their mom. Then they're like, "I don't want to do this anymore," right? But how much time did you just waste going all in on that podcast for those 2 episodes? And so I think that just being clear in who you're serving, and it's going to take time to figure that out, because in the beginning, especially, you have to say yes to people that maybe you're not the best fit for, or you have to say yes to people just to get the bills paid. But you learn over time, okay, that really wasn't the right one.
Right.
Maybe I don't want to work with that one again,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Finding like your ideal client.
Yeah. I've been talking a lot lately about having agents make like a crush and a cringe list. And so like listing out all your past clients and saying, okay, they crushed it. I want to work with them again. Or, ooh, not so much. They're more of a cringe.
Yeah. So smart.
Yeah.
Who for you is like your ideal client?
So for me, mine is the agent that's in the messy middle where they are, they're busy enough to where they kind of feel like they're a chicken with their head cut off right now, running around crazy, and they're dropping all of the balls. Past clients aren't getting touched like they want to. They feel like they don't even know what a system is, let alone like have them in place. Because we come in, we clean all that up, we implement everything for them. And so they can go out and continue to either get more leverage by bringing on an admin or just run the business like a true business.
Yeah. So what does that look like? Someone comes to you and they're like, please help me. I am overwhelmed. I don't know what I'm doing. What does it look like to get started with you?
Yeah. So we have our strategy to scale program where we walk you through our scale framework where we're going through and we're setting the vision. And that's a big piece that agents miss is setting the vision. They set goals, right? They set like, okay, I want to sell 50 units, 100 units, 200 units, whatever, or volume, right? They set those goals, but not the actual vision of like, what's the long term look like too? What's all of this for? You could go be a car salesman. You could go be, there's a million other sales industries that you could get into.
Yeah.
So why real estate? Are you trying to build something bigger in your community? Are you trying to have a bigger impact on the real estate industry? And so figuring out what that long term looks like, so that way we can go through and truly customize how we are, going through the rest of the framework. So like capturing attention. Lead magnets do we need? What landing pages do we need? What do you sound like? If you brought an admin in, could they accurately be an extension of you where you're all showing up?
Right.
No.
Seamlessly, where it feels
Yeah.
like your brand.
Yeah.
People that come to you, they're like, I don't know what my brand is. I don't know where I want to spend my time or what feels like authentic to me. And they're like kind of putting it up to you, like, help me be me. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. And that while it's difficult to do that, we just say, okay, let's look at the data. You know, as nerdy as that sounds, let's look at your past clients. Where did they come from? What lead sources? What do they all have in common? Because they've got to have something in common as to why they were a crush for you, or they've got to have something in common as to why they were a cringe.
yeah.
And so that's kind of where we start is, okay, what do you like?
Right.
Most of us want to help some former version of ourselves.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's where we start.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you're all about like helping them create structure and processes and things like that. What are like one of the processes that you feel like is most helpful or successful with the clients that you work with?
Yeah. I think that going through and, you know, we go through, we figure out how they're going to be capturing attention, right? That's the C part of the scale framework. And then when we move into A, it's acquiring that business too, because you can get all the leads, but if you're not killing it in the actual conversations and long-term nurturing, I think that that's a piece that agents tend to overlook, when you're not when you're just starting and you're not that busy, it's not that hard to quote unquote, not that hard, to nurture, the 3 to 5 hot or watch leads that you might have, closing in the next 6 months or whatever. It's not that hard to remember 3 to 5 of them. But when you have 30 to 50, you need some type of automatic system. And that's where, we come in, we build out those campaigns in your voice to what feels authentic to you in your CRM. And so I know that's always incredibly helpful.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think the typical turnaround time is from like they start working with you to where they feel like, wow, I feel like this is starting to pay off? Like, do you get feedback on that from them?
Yeah, I think that, it all depends on how much you continue to implement afterwards as well. The system is only as good as the user, of course. And we've learned a lot along the way of, we can't just throw you 800 systems at once or you're going to shut down and be like, "Ah, okay, I'm overwhelmed."
Yeah.
Um, and so we've learned a lot along the way, but our plan is to take away the learning curve for you to be able to bring in leverage into your business. And so ideally, we're getting you, 3 to 6 months, if not even further, ahead of time for if you were to bring an admin in instead of that learning curve of, okay, what do I have you do? Okay, here's a to-do list. Okay, now I don't know what to have you do. We're creating that for them. We're putting that into place for, okay, no, they're doing this and then they're doing that. And here's how you know they're successful.
Yeah. Like a favorite client success story that you like sharing?
So we helped a client this time last year. She owned a brokerage and she had, I want to say, like 25 agents on her team. And she was bleeding money. She was like in the red big time. And we actually went through and got rid of a lot of the agents on her team. We kind of had to do one of those like burn down to start over because when she went to go put in the what's the word I'm looking for? When she went to go put in the like standards and expectations of this is what our split's going to be. This is what we expect when a lead comes in, things like that. The agents were like, "Oh no, this was a free for all this whole time. I don't want to do any of that." So, but now she's profitable again. And they are able to go and, do new ventures of business. And it's not that crippling anxiety of, oh my gosh, how are we going to pay our house payment even?
Well, is there anything else that specifically that you would want people to know about your company, working with you guys? Anything that we didn't touch on today?
I think just that you're not alone in figuring all of this out. You can go to your brokerage for lead gen training or negotiations, contracts, all of that, but there really is no one out there that is teaching you how to run your business like an actual business. And we're trying to close that gap because this industry is hectic enough. We don't need to feel like we're being run ragged all the time by our own business. You should feel like you are running your business, not that it is running you ragged.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think that is like the perfect way to wrap it up. So
Yeah.
thank you so, so, so much, Lauren. I know that people will have so many key takeaways from this, and I will make sure that we give all of your contact information so people can easily find you and connect with you. So thank you again. I appreciate it so much for you being here today.
Thank you. Thank you, Katie.
Absolutely. And as a reminder, I am your national title and escrow girl. So if we are not already working together, please reach out to me so I can be your homegirl too. Thanks, guys.